What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Good morning to all of you. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. Happy Wednesday, November 6th. And how could it not be when the day started out by our very own low bagger, Vaughn Polo, tweeting out the picture of his baby? Baglow is the name that we've been given. What a cutie pie, born on Breeders' Cup Championship Saturday. And what a cutie pie. Congratulations, Vaughn Polo. Big smile on all our faces down here. I showed everybody down here in the office. And also it helps going 9-3 over the first 2 days of the week to have this smile. But, man, it's just put a giant smile on my face to see your baby, Vaughn Polo. What a great way to start the day. Great way to start this show. You are creating the perfect capper, born on Breeders' Cup Championship Saturday. And congratulations to you and your very sweet family, Vaughn Polo. Our guy, Vaughn Polo. Deer Slayer Skis had tailed you in Coyotes Flames over last night, Jimmy, my brother. Let's go. And that was a play from Richie Rich. We have so many spectacular cappers in the chat. I was breaking down the NHL card with Parlay Papi, who's going to be joining us in 9 minutes. And then just 10 minutes after that, Junior Browne going to be on the show to break down this whole NBA card with me. Then we're going to have Teddy Covers joining us, and we're going to start with NBA with Teddy. So we're going to have it all covered today because Maxwell Smart will be on our late show with college basketball. But that was a play from Richie Rich that I did not notice, and it was the perfect spot. When we have these defensive teams on the second half of a back-to-back, it's always going to lean to overs, and we're always going to get 5.5s. Always going to get 5.5s. Shout out to Richie Rich for putting money in our pocket there. And Deer Slayer Ski, you are a great NHL capper as well. We work together as a team to defeat the Juice. Walla Walla Dose in the house. Cobra Sports 609. Sebastian Arnold says, cashed real good with the Stars minus 1.5 yesterday. The market went against me. And truly feel like, hockey's that one sport where, I don't care if the market goes against me. It's all about our capping. AM in the house looking for tennis plays. We got Ty Clinton, Joe Rich in the house. Joe Rich Ramirez, there he is. Joe Anisi, Von Burgess, Remos. Oh, also, can you guys remember who gave out LeBron James triple-double plus 440? I was looking for it. I was trying to find, somehow I didn't copy and paste it, and I wanted to give the Vegas Gun Award for Capping Excellence to whoever gave out the LeBron James. If anyone can remember that. Remo shouting out Max's best bet. 2-0 start to the college season for me. I tailed the best bet. And then I also went with William and Mary. Watching that market move from plus 1.5 to minus 2.5. I felt like even though that's a bit further than a move I want to jump on because maybe I'm on the ass end of it, instead I thought, man, 2 points, 2.5 points is still low enough. If the market is sure that there was a mistake by putting William and Mary as the dog, and Max believed in it too. God, it was an easy casher. Rico Money in the house. Rye Cape, Lanil Land, Cappin 24/7. Moses Saucedo, Sergio Rodriguez, Serious Business. Nasty Nate, Rod Zawacki, Riku Roxas, Nilo, Vaughn Polo. There he is. There he is right there, Vaughn Polo. Oh, man, Vaughn Polo, there he is. God, that put a huge smile on my face. Congratulations, man. What a beautiful family you have, and just a time for celebration, and I feel it just, being your friend. So I feel it in me. Time for celebration to your family. So congratulations, my friend. Nick Allegretti says, nail the Stars minus 1.5 in the alternate line of Coyotes over 6.5. Oh, Nick. Perfect play. And we got to remember this. Defensive teams on the second half of a back-to-back, they're going to give us the 5.5, and we're going to go over it. Kanoscat in the house. Bob Barube, Carlos Peroge says college basketball going to be a moneymaker. Matt Randall. Oh, man, Matt Randall, Briggsy. We got Q Peso Lobagalin. Those are the three children. The three children of the Betting with the Bag show, of the Low Bag show. Those are our three children that I just love so much. Walla Dose, Alex Ramirez, Shadow, back in the hospital, but here, cheers all. Okay, well, let's all take a second. And there's Richie Rich, too, with that great play. But let's all take a second right now and send our friend Shadow, who's back in the hospital, all of the positivity and light that we can possibly send. So everybody just take 1 second and send all of the positivity and light and strength and everything we can, all of the good, all of the joy, all of the Baglow, all of the Vaughn Polo's baby, everything we can right now. Let's just take a second. For our guy Shadow. Flick my bick in the house. Gabriel Hernandez, Von Polo. There's Richie Rich. Man, Richie Rich, that was such a spectacular call, and I'm so thankful that you were in the chat. And you saw what happened to me losing $500 on the Breeders, losing $1,000 in the NFL. I've almost caught back up, and it's just very thankful to roll with you, all of you. Nate the Great, Jason Kelly, Leg and Larry, Carlos Cruz, Tata Booker, we got Tata now, Devin Wade, Alex Ramirez, Sportsman of the Year, Lucky Lefty, Justin Bilbo, Bob Barube, Picasso the Prophet. We need the Mama Said play today. Picasso the Prophet, Nut Flush Allen in the house. Scotty Wap, YGRF Thrills. What a great group. Okay, let's get to work. Oh, is that, I gave out James triple-double, but someone I think did too. I got it plus 300, so Jason Kelly did too. Okay, that was just spectacular. Lucky Lefty, the 14 parlay ticket last night. YGRF Thrills, NBA and NCAA picks, please. We're going to start, it's just NCAA, and I know it's going to bother some of you, but we have it set for our late shows, and that's the best we can do right now. Richard Lee had a good day. Noli Knows in the house. David Stan, DX Filer, Alex Ramirez, Raven in the Desert, Mini Jordan, Big Ragu back from his Vegas trip, Alex Guerrero, CT Bays. Okay, Alex Ramirez, love this. Okay, let's get after it right now. Bo Dunn in the house. Steve Dunn. We got Steve Dunn and Bo Dunn rolling with us. James H. Okay, let's get after it right now. And give my love to Kira and congratulations. Kia, excuse me. Give my love to Kia. I have a cousin named Kira. I was going quickly. Give my love to Kia Von Polo. Just wonderful. Just wonderful, 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 spectacular news, and what a great picture that was. And Shadow says, much appreciated, Jim and all. I'm not checking out anytime soon. Too bloody stubborn. And that's the inspiration we need. We need. And we all of us low baggers, when we get dealt any kind of adversity, a curveball we weren't expecting that messes our life up completely, we think of Shadow and we think of Vegas Gun, and we don't sit and mope and whine like a bitch. We fight. We fight, just like Shadow and Vegas Gun have taught us. All right, let's get after it. Big day. We're going to be joined in 3 minutes by Parlay Papi. 3 minutes by Parlay Papi. And we're going to break down NHL. So let's pop up my NHL record right now. Little 2-0 day. I pushed with that Senators first period. I loved hearing Dom Ricci's breakdown on that. Dom Ricci crushed it. Nilo says, by the way, my wife can't stand your voice. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, it's not a voice made for the arts, and I apologize to your wife. Justin Bilbo, what's your opinion on Kawhi not playing tonight? Thinking about taking Milwaukee -5, as you should. You know, as you should. As you should. And we're gonna. Let's wait. Let's just hammer hockey right now. What do I think of Kawhi not playing? Look, I don't like it, man. I don't like it. And it's, but I mean, you know what? It is what it is. It worked out for us last year in Toronto, but I think it sucks, man. He's going to miss 25% of games this year because this is the second game he's missing out of the first 8. All right, did you pop up that, okay. Okay, sorry, what's go, yeah, I can, yeah. Are we, the NHL record? Okay, cool. Okay, let's get, coming off a 2-0 day, I pushed that plus 185 with the Senators. I'll keep smashing that all year. I really like it. Gabriel Hernandez's best play on that game is Bucks -1 first quarter. That's an interesting look, Gabriel. Let's bring in our Parlay Papi right now. We're gonna talk NBA in 10 minutes, but right now we got 2 games. We got Parlay Papi in the house. Parlay Papi joining us, representing Long Beach, California. My guy, Papi. How you doing this morning, my man? Okay. Is it still on me?
Oh, we good?
There we go. Parlay Papi in the house. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. Just muting myself per usual. We got some beautiful games on the slate. I was just saying how much I'm admiring this giant slate of 2 games that just look so attractive. So many angles we could bet on, Jimmy. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm happy that you felt that way because I felt pretty betwixt with this Red Wings Rangers spot. Let's get after it right now.
I'm totally kidding, dude.
Okay. I found it very difficult. I found this tricky. I'm going to pull up the Sportsbook Review odds page right now. The best odds page in the business, SBR odds. Here we go. Today, we're going to go to spreads and totals, but which is really money lines and totals when it comes to NHL. Okay, Detroit Rangers open up at 6.5. Rangers, and that's not moved at all. In fact, actually, it's a 4-cent move towards the under at 6.5. Rangers open up at -150. They're still at -150. Tricky spot. Wings 2-6-0 on the road. Rangers 3-4-1 at home. Rangers feeling good about themselves until Ottawa comes in and spanks them. So they lose 7-4 to the Bruins. Then they beat Tampa Bay and Nashville 6-2. Then they're going for their season-high third straight win, and Ottawa smashes them. There's unbelievable in the house. There's Comic Ricky ready to go. Brandon Cummings has made a 16 parlay for today. I took Sixers in the over, took Bucks in the under, I took Mavericks. I like that. Sorry, do we have a birthday from Rod? Did I miss that? Sorry, a lot of things coming in fast. Georgiev looked so good and then got lit up, so we're going to see Lundqvist in net. We're probably going to see Zibanejad back. Wings 11 regulations losses, lead the Eastern Conference 110-1 over their past 12, -29 goal differential. They've been outscored 17-4. 17-4 on this losing streak that they're on. Blowout losses in Carolina and Florida, and they've won the last 5 meetings against the Rangers. So do you have any angle on this spot? Rangers, Wings.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it just to give some context to this whole thing. Yes, the Rangers are coming off that absolute embarrassment of a loss to the Senators. They really just as a whole have trouble finding consistency, but what really is a problem is that sometimes the way that they set up defense, it's extremely atrocious. It's inappropriate spacing. It allows a higher goal percentage shots from the opposition. And for me, it's really helpful when I see a strange game. I don't look at any stats first if I didn't watch the whole game. And I just see where the shots are coming from on the ice and where the defending opposition is, and you can kind of see exactly what's going wrong. And there's also a metric of why those shots are high percentage. So they have a lot of problems sometimes setting up, and that's indicated by the fact that some of these games that they lose, they're losing them by like 3+, these Rangers here. But if we're looking at them at a whole, they're a decent team. Zibanejad might be out. Let's see how the Red Wings do, right? The Red Wings have been pretty dominant versus these Rangers here, 5-0 last 5. And the game always lands on the same score, 3-2. But is this a Detroit team with this price that we want to actually try to bet on? I mean, they're losing 11 of 12 games, and just some glaring problems on the offense. And we can really put it down to something simple. They have fielded 34 goals while allowing 63 goals. That's 88% differentiation. That's just about as bad as it gets in the NHL. I believe the team that's next to them in that type of differentiation is maybe 8 goals higher. So this is a bad power play. They can't kill the power play. Some extremely questionable goaltenders overall. A young line. Mr. Yzerman cannot be pleased, Jimmy. With Mantha Bertuzzi-Larkin leading the team in points, and we got Filipula. It looks like a mistake over here. Just like the other center, Helm, he looks a lot more effective on the ice physically and generating more goals. And we got Fran Nielsen, hasn't even had a point in 13 games. I mean, with I guess the de facto captain or something, Larkin, right, is saying, we can start okay, but when things start going wrong, we absolutely lose it. That's what he says leading into this game. And, that's not really something that I'm really interested in buying onto as a whole of a team. What's going to happen with these guys if that's the attitude right now? And Detroit's going 2 or less goals in the 10 to 16 games here. I mean, I guess one of the positives is, like I said, Detroit winning the last 5, but this is a different team. The only angle I see, and this is a reach. This is like a far reach. Not something I'm going to be betting, but just to think about. If Bernier's in net on the road, he's a lot better at that 90.6 save percent clip. The Rangers give up a substantial amount of first period goals at home. And with Detroit on the road getting the majority of their scoring in the first period, this is similar to, I guess, what you did yesterday with the Senators. And I also like to do that, too, in spots where I think it makes sense also statistically. And here it does. But for me, Detroit on the road giving up 37 shots. Do I think they're really going to actually win the first period? I don't know. I don't think that there's anything that I like here. I know the Rangers learned their lesson taking bad teams not seriously, like Ottawa. They even said that. They said that they really didn't take that game super seriously. And I expect them to come out with a full effort. Does that mean they win? I don't know. But, I mean, at a plus 130 line for Detroit, I don't think that there's nothing much to do here.
You know, throughout the breakdown, which I liked, and Matt Randall, by the way, on the first period, and I've got Matt Randall's taint play of the day, and we're going to go over all of this shortly. But and Joe Anisi's work play of the day. We're also going to get. Also, it's Rod Zawacki's birthday. Our guy Rod Zawacki, who's put so much money in my pocket, following his 10-star play of the day. Shout out to Rod Zawacki. Have a wonderful birthday. You know what? I think that the Rangers are angry. They were embarrassed. The Red Wings are playing terrible, and it's unacceptable. We have two teams who have terrible penalty killing. 68.6% for the Red Wings, 79.6% for the Rangers, and that's not getting abused because the power plays are so bad. So I'm not certain. Do we know for sure it's Bernier in goal? Because I would go back with Howard personally to get Howard right. Do you know, is there any confirmation on goaltenders?
From the, I guess the primitive, what do you call it? The pre-media stuff yesterday said Bernier, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I would assume that it would be him if they really want to get a chance of winning, because I think that makes things better for them despite getting Howard right. They need a win now. So I would assume it's Bernier, but I have no idea.
I expect Lundqvist to have a good game. I expect him to step up. He knows he's about to lose starting goaltending opportunities and could be the backup, relegated to backup right now. Alex Guerrero giving us stats. Rangers are 1-3 straight up as a home favorite. They are scoring 2.75 goals for and allowing 4.25. I see this as a situation where Lundqvist steps up and plays well, knowing he's about to lose a spot. I expect the Rangers to play tighter and angrier. I expect the Red Wings to do the same. To me, we know these teams play tight, low-scoring hockey. I am making a move here. I'm making a move on the under 6.5. The under 6.5. I like sneaking under these high totals, and I think that I can expect Lundqvist to play well and the Red Wings to play accountable. So I'm going to take the under 6.5. I'm getting a minus 105. That's available at Heritage and 5 Dimes and Intertops. Under 6.5 and minus 105. I expect both
teams to play. This game has landed
sharp.
on 5 the last 5 times, and I think the last 9 meetings there's been 9. Detroit scored under 2 goals last 10 of 16 games. So if there's a look, that's the look, I guess. But I don't know, man.
I like it.
This is a tough one.
It is a tough one, but after breaking it down, I felt like I had an angle there, and I like it. DX5 says, don't like either NHL game. Maybe the under in that Detroit game. And Lucky Lefty says, I like that, Jimmy. I'm with you. I think that makes sense because the main angle here is this terrible penalty killing units from both sides. We are not dealing with power plays that can take advantage of it. That is the main angle for me. I shouldn't say main because I also have an expectation that King Henrik is going to step up tonight. And not enough for me to take the Rangers. And Raven in the Desert said that's why I played under. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's move on to Blues Oilers. We got to be fast because we got Junior Brown joining us here shortly. This total, did it really open at 6.5? I find that crazy to believe. Am I logged in?
No, 5.5.
Wow, because I'm logged in, and also I've moved it to 5 Dimes openers for college basketball. It says that 5 Dimes opened it at 6.5. That doesn't make any sense, but we'll.
No, I saw like 4 books with 5.5, and that's still adjusting on periods and all that stuff. That just came out recently.
The plus 130 for the Blues is now a plus 135 at 5 Dimes. And this Blues spot, Bob Bruby liking the Oilers. The Blues on the second half of a back-to-back. The Blues, I think, are going to play under games. And I wish I had the confidence to take the under last night in Vancouver. Shout out to Noli Knows who was on that under. Same with Dom Ricci, who was on that under. Blues are coming in Edmonton after that 2-1 overtime win in Vancouver yesterday. They're playing well. 5-game winning streak, victorious in 7 of 8. Do you have a move in Blues Oilers?
All right, well, Blues back-to-back going on a little Canadian road trip. I know you love these Canadian teams, Jimmy. I know that's your favorite country and all these Canadian teams you love to love on. But the Blues are playing good hockey. I think Binnington stole one last night. and they got to be a little bit fatigued. That was a defensive-oriented game by the Blues. They're getting outshot and a little bit shutting down this dynamic offense on the Vancouver Canucks is going to be a challenge for anybody, and they stepped up, and Binnington did real well. So, of course, who do we have in net? We do have Mr. Jake Allen. 8.55 save percentage, yet still 2-1, winning both his road starts. But I'm a little scared that he might be a little bit vulnerable, especially with the fact that we're going to have tired players on the Blues that are going to be responsible for help keeping goals away from him that might not be able to maintain that type of momentum going into the third period. And that's the most important thing for me, is at the end of games, that's what matters, those third period stats, especially on a back-to-back. Those are the winning moments for these games, and this is a tight-playing hockey club, so we know how important every goal is. And when you have a big differentiation in third-period stuff, it's a game that you got to be very wary on. But anyways, let's talk about Edmonton for a second. 11 goals in the last 5 games, which is concerning, but I really like to hear Clef Pondell in the media like, yes, we're off to a good start. These are the games that are really important. Talking about St. Louis, this is the game that's really important. It'll be vital for us to know that we can beat the good hockey teams, and then tip it on the coach. He says it's a deep team in St. Louis, and we expect them to come to play on Wednesday. We know how to play. We're going to be ready. And, with the fast production on the Oilers decreasing, what they did is they put Chiasson to be on the line with McDavid and Draisaitl, and then for secondary line, they have Neal, who is their third leading scorer, or second leading scorer, actually. And from a goal standpoint, we got Mike Smith looking good, 5-4 record with 931 save, but at home, a 4.2 goals allowed, which is too high because he's only had 3 starts. But you know what? Those are an anomalized couple numbers there because of the fact that he did get like 5 or 6 goals versus the Kings, which of course the Edmonton still wins, because who loses to the Kings nowadays, Jimmy? With that being said, it kind of just points me towards an under on this game. More so a period under. Edmonton really slowing down on scoring. I don't know how much a difference Giasson is going to be, and then Neal on another line here. Okay, so if we're looking at first period specifically, 3 goals in the first in the last 5 games for Edmonton. St. Louis only allowing 2 goals in the first 5 in the first period, not getting too many goals either. I believe 4 in the first 5 periods. So I'd certainly lean in under 1.5 goals if I could get that at juice price. My worry for the whole game is a vulnerable Allen who's allowed at least 3 goals in this 3-game season he's had so far, and a tired St. Louis team who's really grinding out these games to get wins, coming off a back-to-back where they did have to shut down this aggressive, dynamic Canucks offense in overtime. So what I almost like better, Jimmy, is a team total under on the Blues. It's hard not to see Edmonton really step up. And after hearing everyone talking about what exactly needs to be done to beat this team, and I got a good goaltender in Smith over here, I like the under on the Blues because I think that Edmonton should probably win. The price is appealing, but for the Blues, obviously, that plus price. But I feel like this is a spot for Edmonton to prove it. And with the Blues being fatigued, I'm scared to take the full game under because I don't know what Jake Allen's going to do and what the blue line in front of him is going to do once if Edmonton can get off. So that's why I don't like the full game under. But I do like the Blues team total under 2.5 here, Jimmy the Bag.
I get it. I think this sort of plays in the same way we hit that over in Calgary last night with a defensive-oriented Blues team tired on the second half of a back-to-back and probably not as sharp. Also have the backup goaltender in goal. Same exact thing that worked with the Coyotes last night. We've seen a 4-cent move towards the Blues while we've been talking. I don't like Edmonton. We'll never take them. I shouldn't say we'll never take them. I think they're overvalued. I love that they had a good start. I think they're a perfect team to fade.
They're from Canada, Jimmy. We know this.
So in saying that, I'm going to stay. I might make a move on the over. I'm going to wait and think about it a little more. And maybe it doesn't make sense with the way the Blues are playing so low scoring.
Almost the Edmonton team total over, because if I'm thinking about this again, the fact that the angle is the fact we do have a tired team in St. Louis. We have a ready, rested, motivated Edmonton team and Jake Allen in net. Maybe that might be an easier way to hit this.
I think I agree with it. I think I agree with it, but I'm hesitant to go against the Blues who are playing so tight defensively. Right now, I'm just going to stick with the under 6.5 Red Wings Rangers. And are you going to make an official play on this, or are you going to keep hammering it?
I got to look at this again, man. This is actually a really tricky card, and I want to make something that makes enough sense for me to recommend it to anybody. But we will see that later. Jimmy the Bag, always good luck to everybody out there, including all you low bags, my favorite people in the world. Always find me at Papi_Parlay. And if there is something I want to do with this Oilers game, I will definitely tweet it out shortly, Jimmy.
I love it. And I will be following your Twitter feed. Follow this man on Twitter. He is a great follow. Papi_Parlay, joining us live from Long Beach, California. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Enjoy your Wednesday afternoon. And I will be keeping an eye on your Twitter feed.
All righty. Catch you guys later. Peace out. Good luck to everybody out there.
There he is, Parlay Papi. And we go right from Parlay Papi to Junior Browne joining us. Sorry we were a little bit late getting to Junior Browne, and we have a huge card to break down. But before I bring out Junior Browne, we've got to see this NBA record that keeps climbing and keeps looking better and better. Small sample size, but 33.17% ROI is, I should just stop right now. Junior Browne in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. And Junior Browne, I must say that, and I don't even want to talk about it, but with you and Jay Money, the 3 appearances you guys have made on the show, I am 5-0 on plays that I've added. Yet to hit a loser. A lot of pressure on us, Junior Browne. How you doing, my friend?
I love pressure, Jimmy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You do sound like you handle pressure well. Smooth. This man is smooth and cool as ice.
Hey, I got to start following your plays a little more. Your record's looking sweet over there.
It is, man. Hit the Hornets money line last night, plus 140. I did lose with the Magic money line at plus 130, but I feel good. But it's because I've got you guys, man. This is a 100% team effort. Now I beat basketball every year, but not enough to make enough money. It was 9.8 units 2 years ago, and it was like 18 units last year. And but it's teamwork, and we don't have enough time. So let's get after it right now. Junior Browne in the house. We're gonna touch on each and every one of these games. We're gonna start with Knicks Pistons. Oh, sorry, I'm on money lines. Move over to spreads and totals here at sportsbookreview.com SBR odds page. This total, wow. And I'm using a 5 dimes opener right now just because of college basketball. I'm not going to switch it. 212.5, 5 dimes opener. It's 206 right now. Wow. Detroit opening up at -3, now -4.5. We now know that Jackson's going to be out for a long time. Derrick Rose hamstring, Tim Frazier's shoulder. So we got to see former Hurricane Bruce Brown look great. Until last game against Washington. So the ball handling duties going to Bruce Brown and Luke Kennard caught up to them against Washington. Is this Knicks team who's now moved Barrett over to point guard? Do you think that will continue? I mean, is the play from the guards the most intriguing spot and angle to hammer this Knicks Pistons game?
It's funny that you mentioned that. So moving RJ Barrett to point guard is one of the first signs of absolute desperation. Obviously, his future as a basketball player is not a point guard, so I'm going to look at it from a positive angle instead of trashing Fizdale for what seems like a really amateur hour move. Fizdale is actually a pretty smart coach. You know, he spent time with the Heat during their championship years. So I kind of think that what he's trying to do with RJ Barrett is just develop his overall game. He knows that this team is really not a contender. And if you listen to him talk about RJ Barrett, like he's comparing this guy to like some of the best players in the NBA. So he really believes in this guy, as he should. He's the Knicks' best player, which is the only silver lining for this Knicks team. They're really not a good team right now. They lost 3 straight games. They just got smacked around by a mediocre Kings team. So I think the RJ Barrett thing is more of I don't think it's going to be long term. I think it's just like he's just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks kind of thing.
Yeah, that's, that makes sense. And it's a tough spot for these Knicks, and Ntilikina just not doing the job, and Smith Jr. I mean, both these guys who were picked right after each other in the draft look bad. Let's move over to the guards play from the Pistons. Was Browne and Kennard looking so terrible up against Beal and Isaiah Thomas? Is that what we can expect more of? Should they not be handling the ball as much as they are?
So I think that I'm actually higher on Luke Kennard than most people. Like, Luke Kennard in high school was one of the best players in the country. He went to Duke. He was pretty much Duke's best player, or at least one of their 2 best players while he was there. So he has pedigree. Like, he comes from, good stock, if you want to call it that. He was always a good player. In the NBA, he kind of struggled in his rookie season, didn't know what his role was. But I just think that in that situation, like you're talking about Isaiah Thomas and Bradley Beal. Now, Isaiah Thomas is not the player that he was, but that's a tough spot for Luke Kennard. Both of those guys are just bad matchups for him. I think that he can be a patchwork point guard, if you want to call that, whereas obviously Derrick Rose is their most important guy. But this Pistons team, just to try and handicap this game, I'm sure you guys can tell by what I'm saying, I don't have a feel for either one of these teams. Both of these teams are going to be, I guess the Pistons might sneak into the playoffs because it's hard to judge them because Blake Griffin's not around, and that's what their team is going to be. It's going to be surrounded by Drummond's dominance on the inside, Blake Griffin's versatility, and then they'll get some injections from Derrick Rose, so they can sneak into the playoffs. The Knicks are garbage. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're just working for the future. So I just tend to stay away from two bad teams playing against each other because I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. I really just don't.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and we should move on to other spots and other angles that we find appealing because there's 8 other games on the card. But quickly, Randall looks terrible, and I was pretty excited about seeing Randall in the Knicks uniform. Marcus Morris.
Can I say something quick about that, Jimmy?
Yes.
Julius Randle has a lot of talent, but if you just look at how he chooses to play basketball, he's a guy who should be like if you're a playoff team, Julius Randle should be your best guy off the bench or like your third or fourth scorer. But the way that he acts, like the way he carries himself on the court, he acts like he's the guy, which you need to have to be in the NBA. But because he's a big and strong guy, he just tries to bully other people around. And I think that if he did less, his production would actually go up. He's one of those guys, he just tries to do too much. He has good intentions, but he just tries to do too much. That's why he looks terrible.
Yeah, he's missed all 14 of his three-pointers in the last 6 games.
Dude, he's shooting like 7% from 3 or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, I agree with this look. Nice to see you, Anthony Chalmers, Lenny Jean-Louis in the house with us as well. Let's move on to the next spot. But let me ask you this quickly, just to put a bow on this. Do you agree with this market move from 3 to 4.5 for the Pistons at home?
Yes, because so if you're the Knicks, the Knicks stay in games. You've seen that the Knicks have been pesky in games. The Knicks stay in games by getting on the offensive glass. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, and they get to the free throw line a lot. You're not dominating the boards against Andre Drummond right now. Andre Drummond is like playing like an old school center from like the 70s with the type of stats he's putting up. So I just think that the odds makers probably feel that the Knicks one advantage, which is offensive glass and getting free throws, is not going to be relevant in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually sort of leaning towards back in the Pistons here, but should I do that after Browne and Kennard look so bad? Okay, let's move on to the next game. Let's move on to Wizards-Pacers. Wizards-Pacers. I faded the Pacers last night, and I was fortunate with the amount of fouls that were called against them. It was just a ridiculous dichotomy, I guess, there. Wizards-Pacers here. Total opens up. I've moved back to Pinnacle openers, so I did that when we were talking to Junior. I moved for the total moved from 221 to 224.5. The Pacers have gone from -3.5 to -4. Beal rolling, playing great basketball. Troy Brown Jr., first career double-double, 14 and 10. Indiana playing its 3rd game in 4 nights, off a back-to-back last night. TJ Warren stepping up for them. Malcolm Brogdon looking great, but as a team, they seem to be very easy to play against. The Wizards' bigs are trash, so that's probably not going to hurt them here. This is a tricky game. Wizards-Pacers. You have an angle here?
I don't have a play, but I'll just give you my breakdown a lot quicker than I did for the last game. I just look at this as a situation where, as bad as the Pacers have looked to me, and to me they look bad. Like if you look at the Pacers' schedule, right, they've lost to the Hornets, they've lost to the Cavs, and they lost to the Pistons twice. Like that's terrible. That being said, who's stopping the Pacers front line for Washington? I mean, Thomas Bryant has played great. He's definitely played better than a lot of people would have thought that he was even capable of. But is he going to be enough to stop Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner? And even Leaf is really playing well for them lately anyway. So they've got some really big guys. Domantas Sabonis looks really good right now. I think he's going to get a lot of points. Malcolm Brogdon's been rolling. I don't like this Indiana team, but if I had to put money on this game, it's Indiana or nothing for me. I just don't see how Washington does well here. Obviously, Bradley Beal right now has been playing well, but so has Malcolm Brogdon. Isaiah Thomas started the last game. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case today, but I just think that if I had to put a play on this game, which I'm absolutely not going to, it would be Indiana.
Interesting. Sean Wynn says Wizards money line. I watched the Pacers last night. They lost in a tough overtime match against the Hornets. They are tired. I watched it too. I was very fortunate to squeak out the money line winner there. Okay, no move there. And do you agree with the market move from 221 to 224.5 total wise?
Yes, because the Wizards have shown that offensively, they're one of the highest rated offenses. I think they're like 5th or 6th in offensive efficiency, if I'm not mistaken. So the Wizards have shown, until proven otherwise, that they can put up points. The problem is their defense is trash. Their defense is bottom 4 in the league. So, to be top 4 in the league, I just looked it up. They're 4th in the league in offensive rating, but they're bottom 4 in defensive rating. So they've shown they can put up points, and they're going to allow a lot of points. So the market move makes sense, even though Indiana's offense isn't the greatest. They should be able to do well against this Washington front line.
On the second half of a back-to-back with a tired basketball team, do you think that skews to, with the heavy legs, does that skew to more points or less points than an average?
I'm looking more at the spot. The Pacers right now, like their season, if you're Nate McMillan, this season has been a disappointment, right? Like the way that they've played, if you look at their schedule, I just mentioned the teams that they've played. How can their record be 3-4, having played some of the worst teams in the league to start the season? And if you look ahead at their schedule coming up, they're going to have some really tough games. In the next 2 weeks, they play the Bucks, they play the Rockets, they play the Thunder. Those are going to be really tough games. So if they're going to get their season back on track, if I'm their coach, I'm preaching the message, we have to beat teams that we're more talented than, or what are we even doing right now?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely.
You get what I'm saying, though?
Totally.
Like, they just lost to one of the worst teams in the NBA last night. So are they going to roll over, or are they going to come home and get some home cooking and get back on track, or at least get back to 500?
I find these early season back-to-backs extremely tricky to be confident with an angle. Let's move on to Warriors-Rockets. Rockets opening up at 15 points. They've stayed there. 15-point favorites over this makeshift Warriors team. The total at 232. It's gone up to 232.5 at a couple books. On Monday, hit with the Russell Westbrook over. The highest point total over I've ever taken in my life, Junior, at 37.5, and he gets 44 points, making me very happy. Pascal, 34 points, 13 boards. Kai Bowman looking great too, and I love seeing these two kids playing so well. Kai Bowman goes 9 for 14 in that very impressive victory over the Blazers that showed a lot of heart. Our guru Sports Bets was on the Warriors, and he was on the Warriors money line, which was very impressive, man. I was thankful enough to stay off the Blazers, but no balls to take the Warriors. What do you see here? Warriors, Rockets, Westbrook back in the lineup. You've got to move?
I don't. I would touch the Rockets first half. I feel like the Rockets are again in one of those situations where they just don't look good. First of all, they're one of my least favorite teams on League Pass right now to watch, because as much as I love James Harden's skill, one of the most talented offensive players to ever play basketball, the fact that he absolutely doesn't give a shit about defense annoys me. If he wants to be a winner, he's going to at some point have to take that more seriously. Now, I'm saying this at the beginning of the season. It's like the first 2 weeks of the season, but that's why they don't look good, because they have their best player essentially sets the tone where he just doesn't care about one side of the court, and he's jacking up shots, not really making them. He shoots a ton of free throws, so he's still averaging 36 points a game. But I think we got to start giving a little bit more credit to Russell Westbrook. I really thought that Russell Westbrook would have a hard time being a more off-the-ball player. And his stats are actually more efficient than they've been in the last couple of seasons. His points are down, but his rebounds and assists are still up there. And I think that right now, without Russell Westbrook, this team would really be struggling. So I'm, on our show on Jamming with Jay Money, I've been off the Rockets since the beginning of the season, because you just don't know what the hell they're going to do. You know what I mean? Totally.
Absolutely. You don't know what they're going to do. And I watched that game on Friday against the Nets, and it was perplexing. It was just they have no rhythm at all, and Westbrook sprinting down the court, and seems like the only one doing it. It's just very, very, very strange. Okay, so tricky spot there with the Rockets. Do you distrust the Rockets enough to take the Warriors here at plus 15?
Absolutely not. You just mentioned their young guys are playing great, but is that something that we're investing money on now? I don't think so. As bad as I just spoke about the Rockets, they're still one of the most talented teams in the NBA, and they have something that most teams don't have, and that's continuity. I know that Russell Westbrook is a new piece, but essentially the building block of that team, the foundation of that team has been the same for like the last couple of years. And Russell Westbrook has actually managed to come in and fit in. So once the Rockets get back to being who they are, I think that they will finish as one of the top teams in the NBA. But I'm just talking about handicapping them today. I don't know what the hell is going on with these guys. Like in every game that I've put money on them a couple of times this season, and they'll be up. I'll walk away from my screen for a second and come back, and all of a sudden they're down big, huge amounts of points. Like the swings in their games are just so incredible. And again, I think it just goes back to the fact that their best player just doesn't care about stopping other people from scoring. As long as he can score and jack up shots, that's all he really cares about.
Oh, it's such an interesting team to cap, but that's bang on in a tricky spot. All right, so no moves thus far. Let's move on to Bulls, Hawks, Chicago, Atlanta. Atlanta opening up at -2. They're there right now. The total opened up at 219, now 221.5. Both finishing off the second half of back-to-back. Bulls were beaten up in that fourth quarter, 38-19 in that 118-112 loss last night. They've lost 2 straight, 5 of 6. And Wendell Carter coming back to his hometown of Atlanta. Hawks defeated the Spurs 108-100. Everybody was saying, not everybody, a few guys were like, why aren't you on the Spurs? Why aren't you on the Spurs? And I was like, man, you can't trust this team to cover spreads on the road. I mean, it's year after year after year. It doesn't matter. I shouldn't say it's last 3 years. Why don't we leave it at that? Since Kawhi got hurt, it's been that way. Trae Young steps up and looks awesome. 28 points in the second half, 1 point in the first half. That guy's playing with so much heart and soul. He's better than I expected him to be. And I had pretty high expectations for him. He's even better. Collins, dealing with that Collins PED suspension. DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish stepping up for these Atlanta Hawks. Bulls, Hawks, how do you handle that?
Okay, so first of all, Jimmy, I want to say something to low baggers. I have 7 plays today, but it's only on 3 games. So if you guys are thinking this guy hates every game, it's not about that. I'm just trying to look for spots because I have nothing on this game either. And that's just because of the John Collins injury. I think that injury is massively underrated. I think that kid has a lot of potential, ton of upside, and he's just way too important to that team. Like, They just don't have enough talent on that roster to lose such a key piece. And, he's even been hitting threes this season. Like, there's literally nothing that John Collins doesn't do well. And I think that him and Trae Young really have a chance to be a dynamic duo moving forward. And I think once you take that piece off of that team, I just don't know who they are now. Now you're relying on Trae Young to be Superman every night. That's not a winning formula at all. And as far as the Chicago Bulls, anyone that's watched me on Jamming with J Money, that's probably the team I slander the most. I think their head coach is terrible. I know he's a former San Antonio assistant, but how long are we going to keep saying that? Doesn't he have to start doing something on his own at some point? Now, it's not his fault that Lauri Markkanen is playing below par. It's still really early in the season, and I actually really believe in that kid's talent. I think he's going to turn it around. But again, if you look at their roster, are they good enough to have Lauri Markkanen play? Made 2 field goals against the Lakers the other night. I think the game before that he made 3. If that's how he's going to play, their chances of winning are severely hampered every time they step on the court. Once he gets back rolling, then maybe I might start investing on this team. But again, I don't invest money when I look to handicap a game and I have more questions than answers.
Absolutely. No, it's a good way. It's a way you have to handle things. Let's go on to Sacramento, Toronto. Toronto opening up at 8.5, now 8s and 7.5s. This total opened up at 218, now 218.5, 219. Now, yeah, the Kings have won 2 straight, and we expected more grit from them than we saw in that 5-game losing streak, especially with Barnes, Ariza, Dedmon, and my guy Corey Joseph. So they're showing it now, but this move down to 7.5, is that just a recency bias because the Kings have looked good in the last 2 games? I mean, who's going to stop Siakam tonight? Kings, Raptors. You have a lean here? Move here?
Yeah, so I finally have a play. I actually have 3. As someone who used to live in Toronto, I used to go to a lot of Raptors games. I'm not a fan of any team because in this business, it's about who wins me money, not about being a fan. That being said, when the Raptors win, I'm happy. When they lose, I'm not. So I am sort of a fan, so I try not to put money on them. So I think this is my first Raptors play of the season. I've got 3 looks here. I've got Raptors first quarter -2. I've got Raptors first half -4. And I've got Raptors full game -7.5. And my thinking is pretty simple. Anyone that thinks that the Kings are looking better, what does that really mean? They're looking better as compared to what? When they were getting blown up by 29 points a game almost like 2 weeks ago. Get out of here with the Kings. I don't believe in this team at all. If you look at their roster, what they do best, the Raptors can stop. The Raptors have a ton of good perimeter defenders. The Kings right now without Bagley and Giles, they're a perimeter-oriented team. I think that if you've seen how Nick Nurse has been talking the last couple of days, I think yesterday, he said that Pascal Siakam needs to play smarter because he's been in foul trouble in 4 of their 6 games. He's fouled out of 2, and in another 2, he had 5 fouls. So he hasn't really been able to play as many minutes as he should. And that being said, he's averaging like 26, 8, and like 3 on like 48% shooting. And Pascal Siakam said he actually agreed with his coach that he needs to play smarter. So you got a motivated Siakam. The Raptors haven't played since Saturday. And after this game, they're about to head west on a 5-game West Coast road trip. I feel like, they have a no-nonsense coach. They've been practicing all week. They're going to come in here and smack these boys around, head west, and try to pick up some W's in a road trip where they play, by the way, the Lakers on Sunday and the Clippers on Monday. Maybe I got it flipped around, but they play the Lakers-Clippers back-to-back. It's going to be a really tough road trip. They got to get some home cooking here, take care of business at home, and smack these garbage-ass Kings around.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Polo, this says a good matchup for the Kings today. Raptors aren't too athletic. Well, we just talked about Pascal Siakam, and I love.
By the way, so the Raptors are not athletic in what sense? Who's athletic on the Kings without Marvin Bagley and Giles? Bogdanovich, like Buddy Hield. What are you talking about? Buddy Hield can shoot. He's not athletic. De'Aaron Fox is athletic, but he's got a hip problem. So I'm not really sure what Harrison Barnes is athletic. Get out of here, bro. Not to disparage any low baggers, but don't come at me with the Raptors are not athletic for the Kings. Who's athletic on the Kings? You know what I mean? The Raptors got Siakam, they got OG, they got Powell, they got Ibaka's not as athletic as he was, but the Kings are not an athletic team. I'm not buying that at all.
I love it. I'm not going to triple up. I'm going to double up. Raptors first half -3.5 at -115. Full game -7.5 at -105. Comic Reese says, ask JR what he likes, please. No, Comic Reese. I'm going to try to touch on each one of these games. Timberwolves, Grizzlies. Memphis open up as 5.5-point dogs, now 5-point dogs. Let's get to totals right now. This total opens up at 225.5 and is now at 226. Wolves getting Cat back. Andrew Wiggins stepping up for the first time in it feels like years. And these Grizzlies need Jaren Jackson. They need Jaren Jackson, who's now uncertain with the right knee injury. Brandon Clark came in and blocked 4 shots, and I'm a Brandon Clark fan, but he's no Jaren Jackson. You need that 6'11" height there. John Morant playing well, and Dylan Brooks playing okay. I'm very interested to see how that guard tandem moves forward. Timberwolves, Grizzlies, you got to move here?
I don't. If I did, it would be Minnesota -1 in the first quarter. I've been looking at that. I think that Cat comes back here. And without Jaren Jackson, nobody can stop Karl Anthony Towns. Let's just be clear. But at least Jaren Jackson is the type of guy that has a versatility. He could really move for a big man. He's quick. He blocks shots. I just think that Valanciunas, it's not a good matchup for Valanciunas. Now, Brandon Clark, in a couple of years, he might be able to deal with Cat, but I just think that Cat's got way too much experience for anybody. Valanciunas has experience, but he just doesn't have the physical tools to keep up with Cat, and Clark doesn't have the experience. I think Cat is hungry. He's pissed. Embiid disrespected his mom's. Cat's pissed. He's going to come out hungry. He's been killing it so far this season. His season got interrupted by that stupid fight. I think he comes back here and just eats on these guys. But I'm looking first quarter because I'm still a little leery fading Memphis first half, even though they've looked terrible lately. Overall, in the first half, they've usually been frisky, and then the second half is where they kind of start falling off. So if I had a look, it would be Minnesota first quarter just because of the Karl Anthony Towns angle.
I love that angle. I love no Jaren Jackson. I love that angle. I'm on it. I'm tailing Junior Brown there. That angle makes so much sense to me, even first quarter and first half, but I understand staying off the first half and focusing on the first quarter at -1, -102. I love that angle. Great job. Regardless of the outcome, I really like that angle. Magic, move on to Magic Mavericks. Lost with the Magic last night. They're just playing bad basketball. They're getting no distribution from their guards. I'm very interested to hear what you think of Fultz at starting point guard, because we know Augustine is a character guy, and people like him. And he fights and he steps up in important situations, but he's not a great distributor. Should not really be a starting point guard. And they're trying to bring in Fultz, who looks awful. So now they're just getting no distribution whatsoever. Dallas opening up. Oh, sorry, that's first quarter. Let me move over to full game spreads and totals here. Dallas opening up at 7, now 7.5. This total opening up at 207, now 2 8.5 and 209. Magic coming back, second game in 2 nights. They collapsed at the end of the game against Oklahoma City. They haven't won in Dallas since January 2011. I mean, Doncic is just on a tear right now. How are you handling this game, Magic Mavericks?
Just to touch on the Fultz thing, I'm actually in favor of Fultz starting. I just don't think, like, if you're Orlando, DJ Augustine's he's not going to get better at this point, right? I think he's about to be 32 soon. He's not going to get better from this point moving forward. He's only going to get worse, and he looks pretty bad already right now. You just have to see what you have in Fultz. And I feel like the move to stardom is more a move where they're like, listen, kid, we believe in you. There's no pressure. This isn't Philly. This is Orlando, where people barely even care about the team. You don't have any pressure on you to do anything other than what you're capable of. So let's see what you got. Now, he's not been great, but I don't think he's been awful. Like, he's shooting over 50% from the field. That in itself is a minor miracle, the way he's looked the last couple of years. He's only averaging like 10, 3, and 2. But as long as those percentages stay high, again, when I say high, for him, 45%-ish. Anything above like 43% would be amazing. He's over 50 right now. And I think and his turnovers are low. Now, as a distributor, he's not been great, which is the Magic problem overall. Like, they haven't even scored 100 points this season. But as a college player, like, I watched a lot of his games at Washington. He's a score-first guard. He's going to have to learn to be a distributor. But I think the Magic's problem goes way deeper than that. First of all, Aaron Gordon to me is a disappointment. You just paid this guy a lot of money, and he has not gotten better at all. He doesn't really do anything very well. He doesn't even really, if you look at his percentages of around the rim, he doesn't even really finish around the rim that well, and he's one of the most athletic guys in the NBA. He needs to figure out who he is and what he is. And if you look at their bench, it's just not good. So I just think, by the way, I'm all over this game. I got Dallas first quarter -2.5. I got Dallas -4 first and a half. Love Luka Doncic right now. I think people forgot how good Kristaps Porzingis was because he was out for so long. I think that's a duo that's really, really good. I don't think the Magic – I know the Magic are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. But what's the point – or what good is being great on defense if you can't score points? Dallas is one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA. Nobody in Orlando can stop Luka Doncic. Nobody in Orlando can stop Kristaps Porzingis, so I'm all over Dallas in this spot.
I'm going to go with you with Dallas, but I'm not going to take first half just in case Orlando's angry and starts out okay, because they're going to have heavy legs late for sure. And I understand.
Jimmy, so sorry, not to interrupt you, brother.
No, it's all good.
Just wanted to give you my reason. If you look at Dallas's first half, Dallas's lowest scoring first half this season is 53 points. They've scored over 60, I think, like 3 times and 70 once. So they come out every single game sizzling. So that's my reason for playing this spot. I just more so looked at it as Dallas is a team that comes out cooking usually in the first half, and for whatever reason ends up hanging on late as opposed to the other way around. So that was just my thinking in the first half there.
And that makes sense. I do have a little bit of fear of teams who have played bad on the first half of a back-to-back. I get it. It makes sense. I'm just going to stick with the full game. We have to speed this up. I'm going to line shop for my 7.5. I'm going to take Mavericks full game. Sixers, Jazz. Jazz opening up at -2. They stay there. 211 is the total. Joel Embiid going to be back. Horford played well in his absence. And Rudy Gobert complaining about not getting any lobs from Conley. Not the big man being used. Quote unquote, the drive is great, but the pass to the big is a weapon that we have and we don't use it. Quote unquote from Gobert. What's your look here, Sixers, Jazz?
First of all, Gobert should shut his mouth because he's not a good offensive player. Him getting lobs, he's right. He should get more lobs, but Mike Conley's just not been playing well overall. And, it's been like 5 or 6, what did they play, like 6 or 7 games? Conley's probably just trying to figure out how to get him more involved. calling him out publicly, I don't really see what that's going to do. Conley has been a borderline all-star. If Conley had played the majority of his career in the Eastern Conference, he would be a perennial all-star. So he should probably show Conley a little bit more respect, I think, in that situation. I just don't think that Gobert's talented enough offensively to be complaining about not getting the ball. That's just ridiculous to me. But anyways, as far as this game, I'm on Utah -0.5 first half, and I'm on the under 108.5 first half. I think that even though Philly's getting Embiid back, Embiid's only played like 3 games this season. He's coming into a situation where he's playing at altitude. He's not really known for being in great shape as it is, even though he dedicated the summer to that this season. I just think he might have to ease his way into this game a bit. And the Sixers are just not a good half-court team. They're a team that likes to get out and run and get easy transition baskets, shoot a lot of free throws, crash the boards. They're not a good half-court team. Obviously, we know the Jazz is one of the best teams defensively in the NBA. So my spot here is that if the Jazz don't take care of business, if you look at their schedule coming up, there's a possibility they could fall to 500. They've already lost 2 games in a row, and I think that this is a spot where they come out early, which is why I'm backing them first half, and they try to get right. So I got them first quarter -0.5 and first half under 108.5.
That is extremely interesting, and I'm going to take more time with that. Jazz first quarter, first half, and the first half under. That's an extremely interesting look. I just need to spend a little bit more time studying that, and I'll talk about it more on the Late Show. Then finally, no Kawhi, 6-point swing towards the Bucks. Clippers open up at -1, now -5 for the Bucks, and this total at 228 or 228.5, opening at 227.5. Very quickly, because I got to move on. And Junior Brown, you've been spectacular today. What do you think about this spot here with no Kawhi for the Clippers?
Yeah, Jimmy, I won't be long-winded. I don't have a play on this game because I feel like the Clippers should still be respected. The Clippers are a playoff team without Kawhi. They haven't looked the same without him, but who's going to look the same without him, right? So I just think that this is a stay away for me. I might touch the game live, like I might make a live play. I'm definitely going to be watching this game because I like to watch 2 good teams, and even without Kawhi, it's still a pretty interesting matchup. But I have no play on this game because I just don't think that I think that the Clippers just deserve more respect than being 5-point dogs at home.
Yeah, no, I get that angle quite a bit. Yeah, no, what a great breakdown of all those games. Thank you so much for joining our show, Junior Brown. Follow this man, Junior Brown 21 on Twitter, JRBROWNE 21. Follow him on Twitter, Star of Jamming with J Money. Could you go over your official plays once more?
Absolutely, sir, and thank you for having me, Jimmy. I really love your show. You know I always watch. I always jump in the chats to say what's up. My official plays here are Utah -0.5 first quarter. I've got the under 108.5 first half in that same game. In the Dallas Magic, Orlando Magic game, I've got first quarter Dallas -2.5, first half -4. And finally, in the Raptors game, all over the Raptors, I got them first quarter -2, first half -4, full game -7.5, buddy.
Oh, I love it. What a great asset. What a great addition to our show. There he is, Junior Brown. Watch him today on Jamming with J Money. What a spectacular show that is, Monday through Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
Same to you, Jamie. Good luck with all your bets today, man.
Thank you. I love it. There he is, Junior Brown. We go right from Junior Brown to Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas. And Teddy, I came in on Monday morning in a big rut, and you said some great things to me, and the chat helped, and I'm sitting here 9-3 plus 6.61 units over Monday, Tuesday, and I was thinking about you last night. Your words of wisdom. You help us from a capping perspective, but you also help us just from a life perspective. And I was thinking about you last night when I was actually smiling for the first time in a little bit. So wanted to start with that. Teddy Covers, welcome to the show. Great to see you on this Wednesday morning.
I really appreciate that, Jimmy. Thank you. Because and there's 2 factors. Because one, I got my ass kicked last night, so I'm glad somebody won. Just about everybody I know didn't have a good night last night, so I'm glad that you came out victorious. And I'm also glad to see after you take a punch, that's what this business is. Okay, you're gonna take punches. When you take a punch, you got to punch back. And it's good to see you getting back in the winning column over the last couple of days. Kudos, Jimmy. But we spend so much time breaking down games, handicapping matchups and situations and point spreads. And we don't spend enough time talking about ourselves and our lives and how to make this stuff work and how to keep sane through the insanity. And I like to talk about that at least somewhat when I get the opportunity. I'm glad that some of the words that I said, because Lord knows sometimes I need that advice myself. I'm glad some of the stuff I said was able to resonate with you, Jimmy, and kudos. I'm glad you won again last night. Good for you.
Yeah, felt good. 1-1 in NBA, but just a slight profit because of the plus lines. And then 2-0 in college basketball to start out the year. 2-0 in NHL. Felt great. Kristen Walsh has a very interesting question that I will get to. But first, perfect timing for us to talk NBA after having Junior Browne. I've locked in my plays. Big 9-game card in NBA. How are you handling it?
So I thought Junior was excellent. That was really good analysis. I was impressed with how he was talking. That being said, I'm against him on one play and with him on one play, and then one that I don't even know. That I'm not convinced that you guys are on, or at least I didn't hear you talking about it in that part of the show. I played the Philadelphia 76ers plus 2.5. That line's no longer available. At 2, I think it's worth it. Philly's better than Utah. Okay, that's my handicap for the game. Philly is better than Utah. The Jazz are supposed to be all that. The Mike Conley transition is not working well. Okay, it may get there. It will get there. I'm confident it'll get there. It's not there yet. And when you look at the Jazz so far, the Jazz have 2 point spread covers this year. They covered against Sacramento, and they covered against the Clippers without Kawhi in a no-show game for LA. That's it. I'm not sold on Utah being all that right now. And Philly off a loss with Embiid back in the lineup at catching points to me was too. I mean, that's what I looked at it. I double-checked to make sure I knew, did Philly sweep them last year? Yes, they did. And boom. I mean, that was one that I bet pretty quickly after examining it. I was excited about the prospect. So I'm on the other side of that one. I agree with the Raptors tonight, 100%. First quarter, first half, full game. Sacto off back-to-back wins. Sacto against a team that's playing defense. Toronto off a bad loss to Milwaukee. I mean, all the spots point towards the Raptors here. I wouldn't argue any way you want to get to Toronto tonight. To me, that seems like a clear choice. And again, there's still 7.5s out there. Yeah, there's 7.5s out there, which I thought the money would come on the favorite, and the money came on the dog, which surprised me a little bit in that one. Although the Kings have played better the last couple of games, I'm not convinced that their winning streak has anything to do other than with the Knicks just no showing. And the third one, I laid 2 with Atlanta tonight. I'm not convinced that the Bulls are going to get off the mat, from the way they melted down in the fourth quarter. That's a tough spot for Chicago on the second of back-to-backs. And when Trae Young's in the lineup, the Hawks are winning and covering, period. And as far as I'm concerned, right, I understand Collins is out, and I understand that Chicago won both meetings in Atlanta last year, yada, yada. Right now, the Hawks, even without Collins, I mean, we saw another bye last night, and I was like, well, I don't know, maybe. No. Hawks are a bye team. And I bought them at -2 against the Bulls in what looks to me like a real tough spot for Chicago to get up for. So that's a 3. I made 3 plays.
Like those looks on the Sixers for Teddy, and I understand it. I understand that spot. And I understand also what Junior Browne said. And Junior Browne is only on the first quarter, first half, which I thought was interesting, and the first half under. That's a very interesting game I'm going to spend more time with in the afternoon. Teddy also on the Raptors. That makes Teddy, Junior Browne, and myself on the Raptors. I like seeing that. And then he's on the Hawks. And I still want just to watch this Hawks-Bulls team. I'm very confused with both of these two teams right now, so I'm just going to sit back and watch. But man, Teddy, the low in NHL and NBA, I tried to have a very low amount of plays early in the year, and now I'm sitting here 14-7 in NBA with like a 36% ROI, and it just feels good. Not putting too much, because I have a problem with quantity, and I've been curtailing it since you've joined the show, and you've helped in many, many, many different ways. There you have NBA from Teddy Covers. Teddy, thoughts on last night's NCAA basketball card?
I didn't turn the TV on.
Oh, beautiful. I get it.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I didn't watch a minute of college hoops last night. Again, as I said yesterday, I'm going to ease. What I did last night, actually, I had a long conversation with one of the guys who I rely on early in the season for college hoops, and he gave me 4 teams. And those are 4 teams that I will pay attention to. And I've got another conversation today with another guy that I'm going to say, give me a handful of teams to pay attention to. And that's going to be my college basketball for the next couple of weeks. You want the 4 teams, though. I know you do. You want them?
I want them badly.
Yeah. This is a guy whose opinion we trust. This is someone I've been working with for many years. 4 teams, 4 opinions. Auburn, bet against. Nebraska, bet against. Michigan, bet against. USF, bet on. That's it. I'll read them again. Auburn, bad. Nebraska, overrated. Michigan, drop off. USF, bet on. That's it.
I love it.
That's what I'm thinking about in college hoops right now. And what I'll do, let me just say, I'm not, okay, this guy told me to look at these teams, therefore I'm going to bet. No. What you do is instead of trying to attack 351 teams in the middle of a time where I'm working on NFL and college football and NBA, and you guys are working on hockey every day. No, I'm attacking 4 teams, and I'm going to pay attention to these 4 teams, and I'm going to get another 4 today, or another handful. However, I don't know how many. Because hey, give me a couple, and I'll watch a small group of 10. And then if I see something, then I'm like, yeah, spot on. Those are the ones that I'll be getting involved with early, very early, this week, next week. And then that repertoire slowly starts to expand. All right, we get 4, we get 8, then we get 16. All right, now we got 30 teams we're looking at. Now we got 40, now we got 50. Now it's Thanksgiving. Now we're ready to go in college hoops. That's the way I do it.
I love it. I love learning your process. It's a huge asset for us, and it makes so much sense. We had a question from Christian Walsh right away, and and it's an interesting one. He said, Teddy, how do you do your power rankings in college basketball?
I don't. I rely on others. In order to create accurate college basketball power rating numbers by hand, because I make my power ratings by hand. I'm not pumping out a formula and pumping out an algorithm and, all right, they're spitting out numbers to me. I make my adjustments manually every week, and that means I go through every NBA box score every night. I go through every NFL box score and every college football box score. I can't do that in college hoops. There's no physical way to do it, so I rely on others to do that for me, and I use the math, the algorithms that are out there. It's physically impossible to do that by hand. If you want to do it, it's doable, but you got to create a formula. You're going to data dump from all these different sources and box scores, and there's all kinds of different things you can use to create those numbers. I find the work necessary to putting in to create them isn't worth the effort when you can find the numbers elsewhere. That the Sagarin numbers are good. There are plenty of good numbers out there that you can use, and I like to use a couple of different numbers. The Gold Sheet numbers are good. They're good. They're a good handful of publicly available numbers that you can find for college hoops that are worth using, in my opinion. That beats the work of going through every box score and recap of every game. That is just not realistic for someone that is doing other things. If you're living college hoops, you can absolutely do it, and you should do it. And you should make a lot of money every year in college hoops, but you have to live it. And that means, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, full-time gig, college hoops. It's doable, but it's that type of effort. It's not even you can't say it's a 40-hour a week job. It's not an 80-hour a week job. It's a all day, everyday job. And if you do it for 5 months, you should make money over the course of the college basketball season, but it's a heck of a ride.
Yeah, it's so difficult to keep track of all of those teams. Let's move on quickly.
I got to ask you, Jimmy, real quick.
Yeah.
What did you think of the college hoops last night? Because I didn't see it. I didn't turn it on.
It's funny. It's funny you asked me that because I was so deep in that Hornets-Pacers game.
Me and you both, brother. What a game. What do you say? We got to talk about that because you and I were on opposite sides of that contest. The lineup that Borrego put out there in the fourth quarter, he'd never used before, and they freaking caught fire. It was insane. They hit everything. Charlotte deserved to win that game. They played better. They played insane down the stretch. But from that lineup to get that production down the stretch, and then of course the free throw disparity wasn't something that amused me very much. 42-7, was it?
42-7. It was ludicrous. It was just ludicrous. I felt very fortunate seeing that run in the fourth quarter. I wasn't sitting there going, see. I felt very fortunate to come away with it. So you know what? I was following all the scores, and one thing that I need to do is I need to trust you in college football, and we have Max on our late shows in college basketball, because if I try to reach in these two sports, I'm going to fail. And that's what happened to me the first year I came down here. I tried really hard capping college basketball and college football, and I just failed. And so I'm really trying to bite off enough that I can chew it and swallow it. And so at this point, I'm really going to lean on the experts that we have on the show and the experts that we have in the chat and do my best work to put money in people's pockets in NHL and NBA. And that's how I'm going to be handling things. And Elliot V says, in Teddy, we trust. We have a quick question before we go into college football. And then I'm going to first go over Teddy's plays for the week. But we have a quick question from our Guillermo Zertucci. He says, I'm on, Jimmy, flying to Oakland tomorrow to see my Raiders. What is Teddy's take on the game? Chargers, Raiders. Raiders open up at -1.5. They're now at +1 or +1.5. This total is sitting here at 49, up from a 47.5 opener at Pinnacle. The Chargers look like the team we thought they were going to be. They really did for the first time all year. And I know they always get off to slow starts, but this start was so slow, we thought maybe it would never come. Teddy Covers, Chargers, Raiders.
No, that's not what we saw from the Chargers, in my opinion. What we saw from the Chargers is an opponent who was dead flat, and the Chargers, okay, they won the game. Chargers should have won that game 53-0, dude. Green Bay literally didn't show up. The Chargers aren't good enough to do that. The week before, how would they win? Missed field goal. There's a thought process in the betting markets. And it's very clear when you look at how this money's moved. And as I talk to people around Vegas this week, all I've heard is, oh, here come the Chargers. Here the look. The Chargers went, 7-1 and 6-2 straight up the last 2 years over the back half of the season. The second half team, here come the Chargers. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it even a little bit. Oakland's the better of these two teams. They're catching points at home on Thursday night. The other team's got to travel. I mean, when you watch the Raiders' offense, they're balanced. They're good in the red zone. These are not things that the Chargers are balanced, but the red zone executions come and go. Defensively, Oakland's numbers haven't been good, except for one area. They're pretty good against the run. They've been lit up by opposing passing games. They're pretty good against the run. Chargers' offense only works when they're balanced. When it's Rivers chucking the football downfield, it's not working that well so far this season. I am a little bit concerned about Oakland's offensive line injuries. Hudson wasn't right yesterday. Browne wasn't right yesterday. I do think both guys are going to play. And the fact they were limited in practice is not good, but the fact that they practiced is good. I think the Raiders are a gift. I took Oakland. I put Oakland in my pocket. I advise my clients to do the same.
Wow, that's very, very exciting take on the game. Joe Rich Ramirez says, "Amen, that was great." He believes in what you are saying. Says, me either. I don't believe the Chargers, Mr. Covers. There we go. Backing the Raiders. Let's get into college football. On Monday, that's the wrong sheet here. On Monday, we got Temple, Oregon State, Wake Forest, and Illinois. Then we were wondering if you were going to get to the window with Minnesota and Iowa. Have you?
I have not got the window with Iowa and Minnesota. I keep dawdling on Minnesota. I haven't got there. I did make one play, and I locked in already. And geez, the sevens are out there with Minnesota. So let me do this. All right, I'm going to lock in on Minnesota because I'm going to bet that as soon as I get off the show. I'm going to lock in on that 7. That should be an official play because I'm about to make it. Although I didn't do it overnight. I'm also locking in on LSU plus 6.5. I'm going to take some money line there as well. LSU's winning that game.
Ooh, that's a wildly exciting take as well. Can you expand on backing LSU against Alabama?
Yeah, LSU's better. LSU is better than Alabama this year. Defensively, they're better. Offensively, they're better. Offensively, they're as good. The national championship in this decade has been the same couple of teams over and over and over again. That's not the way it works over the long term in college football. You have teams that have great years. You have teams that have great situations. It's not going to be Alabama and Clemson every year. It's not. And I don't think it's going to be this year. We've seen the LSU offense work against good defenses. All right, more than once. They didn't put the ball in the end zone against Auburn, but they moved the ball up and down the field in that game. Against Florida, they put the ball in the end zone. So I believe that the LSU offense is capable of giving Alabama's defense some struggles. And when we look at Alabama's season, find me a good offense they faced. Find me a good quarterback they faced. One. Give me a second. I'm just trying to pull up their schedule. There's not much, I'll tell you that. Bama has played so far Duke, New Mexico State, South Carolina, Southern Miss, Ole Miss, A&M, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Ain't no LSU's on that list. The best team they face is A&M. I'm not saying that because they haven't faced anyone that they're bad. I'm saying one team I know is battle-tested. The other team I know isn't so battle-tested. Okay? From a defensive standpoint, Alabama is not what they were. And, we've seen that a couple of times already. And I think that LSU has the passing game to give them all kinds of trouble. And I think LSU has the defense that can hang with Alabama's receivers. And I think that Alabama's going to get upset. I like LSU plus the points, and I like them on the money line.
Oh, that's an exciting take. A very, 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 very exciting take that will give us fodder for the whole week. Question in from D. Summers. Let me pull up the spreads and totals here. I was just on spreads. I was looking, doing a little line shopping myself after hearing that breakdown. With this total here against the number 1 ranked LSU, number 2 ranked Alabama, opens at 65. Pinnacle's brought it all the way down to 63. D. Summers said, was 65 too high? Do you agree with this market move?
So these, I've obviously criticized Alabama's defense. Alabama's got plenty of NFL talent on the defense side of the football. I feel like LSU's going to be able to throw the football against Alabama, and I don't think that LSU's going to shut down Alabama for 4 quarters. So my gut reaction was this game is more likely to be a shootout than a defensive scrum. All right, my gut reaction was over. And then you start thinking about it, and you're like, I just couldn't get there. The markets are pointing in the other direction. And it's not a game where Alabama's going to try to push pace. They want to keep LSU's offense off the field. I worry a little bit about red zone execution for these two squads. And the initial lean towards the over was just a lean. The more I thought about it, I'm like, the play here is the side, not the total. And that's my opinion on the game.
Wow, what an exciting weekend ahead of us. We have more questions coming in. Rich Kemp asking, wanting questions. Just bring your questions in, and I will fire them at Teddy, and that's part of the fun of this show. Questions coming in now, and one is on this UCF spot here. UCF versus Tulsa, which I'm not finding here.
Right at the top of the card, Thursday night game.
Oh, it's a Thursday nighter. That's the why. Okay, and we got to get into the Wednesday nighter. So, why don't we start with tonight, and then I'll get into UCF Tulsa. Why don't we start with tonight? Miami of Ohio up against Ohio. Ohio opening up at 6.5, now 7s. This total opened up at 54.5, now 55, 55.5, or even at 56 at BetOnline. Do you have an angle in Miami of Ohio against Ohio?
I'm not going to make a move on the game. It's a 2-point game last year. And certainly from a which team has been covering numbers perspective, Ohio's got 2 covers all year. They've been an overvalued commodity. Miami's got 3 in their last 4 contests. They've been an undervalued commodity, and 2 of them have come as dogs. My gut reaction was I'm expecting another competitive game, just like the 2 games that we saw last night, and which has me thinking about taking the points as opposed to laying them. Both teams still have Bowling Green and Akron on their schedules. So in terms of bowl, you would think this would be a huge game for bowl eligibility for MAC schools. May not be the case in this one because they both have games that they think that they should be able to win. 2 more games. They think there's a pair of 4-4 squads. But whenever you have 2 4-4 teams in this time of the year also, with bowl eligibility being an issue, or 2 4-win teams, again, taking the points sometimes makes a whole lot of sense. but I've seen this from Solich's teams before. Frank Solich is not a September coach necessarily. His teams, year in, year out, they get better as the season progresses. And we've seen that from Ohio over the last couple of weeks. Back-to-back wins. And I know they didn't get the cover against Kent. They were laying 7.5. They won by 7. But offense that's moving the football, defense that's capable of getting some stops. There may well be some value on the Bobcats down the stretch of the campaign because they've only covered 2-point spreads so far this year, and there isn't any kind of a betting bandwagon on Ohio. So, total-wise, both of these teams have put up some decent defensive numbers, but I'm not a big fan of betting Solich games under. 4-2 the over last 6. It's easier for me to see the offense is cranking here and the defense is shutting everyone down. But as far as a strong opinion, this isn't a game where I have one. Easy pass for me.
An easy pass here with Miami of Ohio against Ohio this evening. Next up, questions are rolling in. The next question is from Handsome C. It says, if I may ask, does Teddy have an opinion on UCF Tulsa Friday night? UCF opening up at -16, now -17 or 17.5 on the board. This total opening up at 70.5, and we have seen a 69 at BetOnline, some 69.5s. UCF Tulsa, you have an angle here?
There's another one that I don't have a strong take on. I'm in action on Thursday night with Temple. I'm in action on Friday night on Oregon State against Washington. This is not what I'm not comfortable backing Tulsa right now. That's a team. They fought so hard in so many games, and they just keep coming up short, and things are going bad. And another loss last week. The Memphis loss, the SMU triple OT loss. There's been some really tough losses for this team, and they've had a hard time bouncing back. They're not deep enough to bounce back. Defensively, a team that was real good early in the season. They declined. Big time. And they're winning turnover battles and still losing games by margin. That worries me for Tulsa. I'm not convinced that on a short week they're going to be able to bring their A game against UCF. So I guess if I had to play it, I'd lay it. But the markets are already there. And it's not like you're getting bargains with UCF at this stage of the equation. There was money to be made with UCF early in the season. All right. Since that 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread start, they've covered again. 1-point spread. The betting bandwagon's been really big. The results haven't been there. They've been. I would rather have the UConn side. I don't want the UConn side though. I don't. Since he's not built to cover point spreads like this, I worry about their focus level in this point spread range. And certainly, Fickle was not amused by the defensive performance, and they gave up, 638 yards to East Carolina last week. Since he's not built to cover numbers like this, and they're not, the offense is not dynamic. This is a pedestrian offense. The defense may show. If I had to play anything in this game, I'd look under because I'm not convinced UConn's offense is going to do anything against this defense this week. And since if they get a 3-touchdown lead, they'll hand the ball off 30 times in the second half, and that'll be that. I lean under more than side.
Leaning
but
under.
If I had to play side, it would be UConn. Yeah, since he can't lay this price, and they're not built to lay this price. But yeah, it's hard to get me to the. You can sometimes make money with bottom feeders in the NBA. You can sometimes make money with bottom feeders in the NFL. It's hard to make money with bottom feeders in college football and college hoops. It really is. And UConn, clearly a bottom feeder.
Our guy Reese asking about rotation number 189, 190, Florida International, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic opening up at -10. This total opening up at 61.5 has dropped to 60.5 or 60. You have a feel for FIU, FAU?
I have absolutely no take on this game. It's a game that I glanced at initially and was like, okay, I don't have a strong feel. FAU's better than Florida International right now, but it is a rivalry series. And when FIU doesn't turn the ball over, they're fine. It's like I'm not thrilled about laying points with a team with +4 last week and a misleading result against Western Kentucky. We've seen them lose at home before. I don't have a strong take on it. I'm sorry.
All right, we have more questions coming in fast and furious, and this one is an interesting one from Rich Kemp. Says, when do you start pulling from your bankroll for other things? What's the point of betting if you can never use the money, right?
That's an excellent question. That's a fantastic question, and it has a lot to do with the size of your bankroll. It has everything to do with the size of your bankroll. You know, if you have a 3-figure bankroll and you're making $20 bets, you know, you have $500 or whatever, I would never pull from that. That's not how you're going to eat. That's not how you're going to live. That's not, you know, that your goal of a smaller bankroll is just to build it up. And literally, I wouldn't pull anything out of it. If you have a medium-sized bankroll, I guess I shouldn't say that. It depends on your goals for betting. Okay? If your goals for betting is, we're going to start small, we want to get good at it, we want this to be a side hustle, we want this to be a secondary source of income, you know, then if you're making profits and you're not looking to increase your unit size, you pull something out. Absolutely. If you're looking to say, all right, I'm betting on sports because I want to do this long term, all I'm interested in is building bankroll, and I'm not going to pull anything out for anything, well, then if you're good at it, that's how you can get to be build a big bankroll and do this very, very seriously. Anytime you're taking money out of the money, the old expression, it takes money to make money. It takes money to make money. So when you're pulling out of that for your life expenses or to celebrate or to go have a night at the club or to go buy a new car, it's okay to do as long as you're not putting your future bankroll growth in jeopardy. As long as you're not sitting there going, ooh, if I have a losing streak right now, I'm totally screwed. And that's the end. Now I'm back to betting $20 or $50 a game again. So a lot of it depends on what other income you have coming in. If you're relying on sports betting for all of your income, you're going to have to, or for a majority of your income, you're going to have to pull out a bankroll. But recognize every time you do that, you're taking away potential future growth.
That's a great answer. That's a very, very interesting question from Rich Kemp and a great answer. Okay, we have 2 more questions before we put a bow on this show. The next question comes from Mr. ESPN. He's talking about rotation number 181, 182, Missouri, Georgia. He says, ask Covers about the Georgia game. Georgia opening up at minus 17. Now there's some 17.5s on the board. This total at either 47 or 47.5, Teddy, Missouri, Georgia.
So I did a fair bit of work on this game yesterday and ended up with nothing. I passed. I'm not taking Missouri on the road against a good defense. Look, Kelly Bryant can't do it. We saw it in the Wyoming game in the opener. Okay, they only played 3 road games all year. All 3 losses, all 3 failed to cover. When you lose to Wyoming and they lost that game by 3 touchdowns against the spread, they were laying 21 at Vandy. They lost that game by 4 touchdowns against the spread, and they were laying 9.5 in Kentucky. They lost that game by more than 4 touchdowns against the spread. That's a home road dichotomy. And Bryant is not a QB that I trust against Georgia's defense. So it's Georgia or pass for me to begin with. Georgia's this team, they dominate games, and they're not dominating final scores. Over and over again. Last week against Florida, they dominated that game. And at the end of the game, are they going to cover? It's all sweat with Georgia, They scored 17, 21, and 24 the last 3 ball games. I can't lay this price for them. It feels like they're going to explode against someone. Do I want to trust them to explode against a team off back-to-back losses off a bye when they're off the Florida game? No, I pass.
Yeah, no, that's a great breakdown. And the final question coming from D. Summers. Rotation number 193, 194. 18th ranked Iowa up against 16th ranked Wisconsin. Wisconsin at 9.5. This total low, very low at 38.5. His question is, would you take the under 38.5? Total scores in Iowa's Big Ten game so far, 30, 13, 29, 46, and 20. Every Wisconsin Big Ten game has gone under 47. Would you take the under 38.5 in Iowa, Wisconsin?
I wouldn't, just because, that's too low for me to bet. I'm not going to talk you out of it. I don't bet college football totals under 40. I won't bet the under in those games. There's just too many plays. Now, I know that Wisconsin's offense has looked pedestrian of late, and I know that Iowa's offense is pedestrian. And I understand that all these games have stayed under. But look at the totals, 58, 50, 47, not 38, Wisconsin, 48 for, again, in the Purdue game, for Iowa, 43 and a half. It's just a little bit too low. And the reason I haven't gotten to the window with Iowa in this game yet is because I'm not convinced Iowa is going to score. So I can fully understand, I want to take the under here. I want to take the under. And I'm not going to talk about it, but it's not getting in my pocket. The total is just too low, and a fluky touchdown screws you in a big way when you're talking about totals in the 30s in college football.
Yeah, dangerous number at 38.5. There you have it. There is our show for today. We'll go over some of our looks and my looks in NHL and NBA shortly. But first, thank you so much, Teddy Covers. Follow this man on Twitter, Teddy_Covers. Have a great Wednesday, and can't wait to work with you again tomorrow morning.
I look forward to it, Jimmy. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the games, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
I look forward to it. There he is. Teddy Covers my looks on this card. Red Wings, Rangers, under 6.5 and -105. Thank you so much, Dina. I love that. Thank you very much for those kind words. Under 6.5, Red Wings, Rangers, under 6.5 and -105. That's my only look in NHL. Then I've made some moves, and I really liked where Junior Browne and Teddy were at in NBA, and this is what I've done in NBA. Raptors first half full game, -3.5, -115, -7.5 and -105. Timberwolves first quarter, -1 and -102. Mavericks full game, -7.5 and -105, and that is it. And we'll talk more about it. But remember, the late show is all college basketball. Max Smart and college basketball. For the first 7 or 8 minutes, I'll just quickly go over the NHL and NBA card. And then from then on in, it is college basketball. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is a treat to run with you guys. Let's have a good afternoon of study. And you are welcome, Midwest, whoever you are. Let's get after it. Leche, Halos bookmakers.